And as I say, a link and some of the slides will be sent out at the end over the next day or so. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to Sheena, who can discuss Strathclyde University with us.
Hi folks, I'm Sheena McKenzie. I'm just going to bring up my slides. Kevin, can you just give me a nod if you can see those okay? Yep, perfect. Okay, as Kevin said, I'm Sheena McKenzie and I am the Head of Industry Engagement across the whole of the Faculty of Engineering at the University of Strathclyde. And what I'm going to do today is give you a brief overview of the university and the engineering faculty in particular. And I'm going to talk about some of the different types of mechanisms that you can use for working with us and different ways that you can engage with us. So without further ado, I'm just going to go straight into my slides and we'll have plenty of time at the end for some questions and answers, okay? So just as a bit of background, the University of Strathclyde was established back in 1796 as a place of useful learning. We've been really fortunate. We work very closely with industry. We've got a very practical approach to studying and to research and development. We're really interested in creating impact from the research that we develop within the university. And we're very interested in making sure that the students that graduate from the university can walk straight into your companies and help you work effectively. We've been great. We're very fortunate in that we get a number of awards every year. So you can see there that we're down as part of the Good University Guide Scottish University of the Year last year, which is one of our most recent awards. Across the Faculty of Engineering, we've got 8 different departments. These range from the traditional engineering domains of civil, chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, aerospace, naval architecture, and electronic and electrical engineering, through to more modern areas such as biomedical engineering, and of course our manufacturing and design engineering department, which we've got our National Manufacturing Institute for Scotland in, and I'll talk about that a little bit more as we go through. Across the university, we have 7 strategic themes. We've got advanced manufacturing materials, energy, ocean, air and space. We've got a huge interest in society and policy and supporting the government in particular in developing new policies, for example, for introduction of renewable resources into the energy networks. We've got a large programme that's looking at innovation and entrepreneurship, where we work with individuals who have bright ideas for spin-out companies and new technologies, helping them move those through the different stages to get to the point where they've got a company off the ground and they can actually get up and running. And we work with both people in the university that have those ideas, and we're happy to open the doors to companies and individuals who would like to start a new business as well. And that's through our innovation and entrepreneurship theme. We've also got a lot of focus on measurement science and enabling technologies. Our physics department in particular are really strong in photonics and quantum techniques, for instance. And then we've got a huge area of research and development in health and well-being. Within the engineering faculty itself, our major capabilities span energy, where we have a number of different capabilities right way through from generation through to devices and power electronics. I'll talk in a few more minutes about the different research centres that we've got where we're industry facing, and that'll give you an example there of the Power Network Demonstrator Centre, for example, where we work to help test different devices within networks to be able to look at different failure mechanisms within a safe environment that's not actually part of the grid, but emulates the grid, for instance. In asset management, we've got a number of different capabilities from traditional condition monitoring. We've developed new sensors and new algorithms for condition monitoring, for instance. And we've got a huge area of expertise in artificial intelligence and applying data science to give practical solutions for asset management and other capabilities such like that. I'm not going to go into too much detail on all of these different areas because there's so many different things that we do within the university. But what I want to really focus on today are the industry-facing centres and the mechanisms that we've got for working with people in the engineering sector. So I've listed 10 different industry-facing centres there. That's just a snapshot of the centres that we've got within the engineering faculty. But I think it's quite important to realise that these centres have different ways that you can engage with them. So there's facilities that you can access, there's expertise within the academics and the researchers that we've got within the different departments and within these centres. They're set up specifically usually for working with industry. So we've got specific ways that we can work with you through membership. You can join or you can pay to work with us through consultancy, or there's different ways that we can work with you through student projects and other mechanisms I'll go into in a bit more detail in a minute. But just talking about these centres, I'll run through them quite quickly just now. We've got the Advanced Forming Research Centre, which is based out in Chinnan. I worked at the Advanced Forming Research Centre from 2012 through till 2019. The research centre itself is one of 7 centres in the UK in the high value manufacturing catapult. We helped set up the UK's high value manufacturing catapult, and it has since become part of the National Manufacturing Institute Scotland, which is a partnership between the university, the university, other academic institutions, and the Scottish Government and industry. The Advanced Materials Research Lab does a lot of research on particularly metal materials, but also on a range of different types of materials. And it can do all sorts of different testing that you might want to do to find out about different properties of the materials that you're working with. The Advanced Nuclear Research Centre, as it says on the tin, does a lot of research in the nuclear sector. Centre for Ultrasonics Engineering, they do a lot of, they have capability for assessing, e.g. welds, example, welding capabilities. So they've combined ultrasonics with welding to look at the properties of the weld as you're actually laying down the weld so that you can make sure that the integrity of the weld is sufficient for whatever it is, the application that you've got. The Driving the Electric Revolution Centre Scotland is one that's quite recent. It's a partnership between ourselves, Glasgow University and St Andrews University and Edinburgh University. We're working with other Driving the Electric Revolution centres across the UK to provide a one-stop shop for companies who are looking to develop their manufacturing expertise in electrical devices for the electric revolution, so power electronics and machines and drives, for instance, there. MARI UK, Maritime Research and Innovation UK, they work across the maritime sector. They've been working with the National Shipbuilding Strategy, developing that strategy with the Maritime Enterprise Working Group. I talked briefly earlier when I spoke about the Advanced Forming Research Centre about the National Manufacturing Institute Scotland. We have the Oil and Gas Institute, which sounds these days, we're not doing less in the oil and gas sector and more in other sectors. The focus of the Oil and Gas Institute is very much on that energy transition now, moving from oil and gas across to other energy sources, such as hydrogen, for instance. I talked briefly about the Power Networks Demonstration Centre earlier. So that's based up at Cumbernauld. It has facilities for testing novel devices and other things that can go onto the power network to make sure that those power devices aren't going to create problems on a grid, for instance. And as I said, it has an emulation facility there that can provide an emulation of what an actual full grid looks like and create all sorts of power faults and such like that you wouldn't be able to test out thoroughly on the actual grid without damaging it. The Scottish Institute for Remanufacturing has been running now for about 8 or 9 years, I believe, and it's very much focused on providing support to companies to help them understand how to put components back into the circular economy. So how do you remanufacture devices so that you can reuse them? And one of the companies that we're working with there is a company called Renewable Parts Limited, who are looking at refurbishing of onshore wind turbines as they come to the end of their 20-year life, for instance. Strathclyde Space Institute, that has huge capability across the use of different data sources that are coming from space, space-provided assets, for instance, but it also works with companies who are developing satellites and components for going up into space. And the Technology Innovation Centre is the big building that's on George Street that hosts a whole bunch of different technologies within it. And it's one of our flagship centres within the city centre. It also hosts the Scotland 5G Centre, which is led by Bob Stewart, and 5G Centre has been fundamental in Scotland in progressing the 5G Wi-Fi capability and policies across Scotland, as well as developing new techniques and new capabilities in that area. And then finally on the list here, we've got the Weir Advanced Research Centre, which supports Weir Group in their mining capabilities in particular, providing support in terms of, different ways of mining different materials and different techniques for doing that. So for each of these centres, as I said, they're very much set up to work with companies, and they have a range of business development capabilities, so people that can come and talk to you to find out about what your challenges are and then help you access the facilities and the expertise that sit within those centres to help support whatever it is you're trying to do. So the different ways that you can engage with the university are there's a multitude of them, and it helps us if you come and talk to us about what it is that you're trying to achieve. We can talk through the different types of things that we can do with you, and I'll give you a quick overview of some of these. So as I said earlier, you can join some of the industry-facing centres that are presented on the previous slide. I can talk in detail, for example, about the Advanced Forming Research Centre, because I used to work there. We have different tiers of membership within that centre. So for 200,000 a year as a large company, you can join and pay into the membership, and that will enable you to take part in the core research programme. There's a number of different companies that sit as a tier 1 within that institution, which means that they've got a collaborative programme that's worth over £1 million, because there's so many companies paying into that fund. And then that fund then gets used to do research that's useful to the companies that are members of the centre, focused around the research area of the centre. There's also membership tiers that are lower than that. So we have a tier 2 membership, which is generally companies that are providing a service or a facility into the centre, and that's at a much lower level of cost. So £25,000 worth of facilities. It can be things like software or equipment or material support into the centre, for instance. It can be in kind rather than cash, is what I'm saying there. We work on collaborative projects and programmes with companies as well. So we can help you access funding to do work with us. And one of the mechanisms for doing that is the Knowledge Transfer Partnership, which is a 3-way partnership between ourselves, the company, and our research associate, a knowledge transfer associate that's taken on as an individual who will be, a graduate, who will work within your company, but also work with the university to access facilities and expertise within the university to help you develop a new product, process, or technique that's going to make a significant change to your business. KTPs are funded by the university, by Innovate UK, up to 67% of the costs can be covered if you're an SME, for instance, by Innovate UK for programs like that. We can also help you access other Innovate UK and Scottish Enterprise funding and other funding sources, we're still part of the Horizon, not the Horizon programme, the EU Horizon, I can't remember the name of the programme now, the new European funding programme anyway, shall we say. As I said earlier, we can provide consultancy. We can also provide services rendered. And when I'm talking about services rendered, what I mean by that are things like materials and component analysis or testing within our facilities. So that allows you to access the facilities that we have by paying for that access. Maybe slightly more attractive are student placements, which can be within your company as sort of part of the course. So some of the courses, for instance, will have a student placement where the student, as part of their university training, would be placed within your company for a period of 3 to 6 months, depending on the department and the type of degree that they're doing. There's internships where you can take on students over the summer, for instance, and of course, student projects. And student projects can range from individual projects where you might have something that you want to look at and you don't maybe have the staff or the time to do that yourselves, or you need access to specific facilities that the university might have, such as test equipment or materials testing, for instance, that the project would give you access to through that student project. Or you can do group student projects where you might be looking at something slightly bigger and we can get a group of students together who would be looking at different aspects of a particular thing that you want to look at. And then, of course, there's the fundamental thing that university does, which is all about skills and training. And we've got everything from graduate and degree apprenticeships where you might have people within your company that you want to develop, and we can you can sign up to work with us through the graduate or degree apprenticeships programme to help us train your staff to become by giving them a degree training, which is online and supported by yourselves. So they will continue to work full-time within your company, but they will have access to online training and support from the university to help them achieve their degrees as well. There's a range of short courses that we provide in different capabilities. So those range from access on just a daily basis where you come and do a day's worth of training with us on a specific subject, or it can be a week-long course or even longer than that over a number of months. And we do online and face-to-face training for short courses. Postgraduate research can be a useful way of accessing some of the capabilities as well. So we've done a number of PhDs where companies have come to us with challenges that are quite fundamental in terms of understanding, say, how to model something that you've never actually built before, so that you can understand enough about the fundamentals of it before you actually start to work on it yourselves. So paying for access to or supporting a postgraduate through their research can actually provide you with some excellent quick results that you can use within your own company quite quickly. And we did an event back in May where we had a number of companies and students who were presenting on the research that they've done there. And I can provide some links so that you can have a look at the video recording of that particular event that we ran there, just to understand a bit more about that postgraduate research and how to tap into it. We've also got industry-focused masters, and we've got distance learning and part-time training that we do through that. So that's more for individuals who perhaps want to develop themselves and being able to get onto those programs whenever it suits them can really help them be able to do that during the spare time. And we've got online undergraduate and master's courses as well. So that is a range of just a quick canter through the different ways that you can engage with us. As Kevin said, we're going to provide a copy of the slides, and the slides will have links in them to further information about all of those different things. Before I stop talking and allow you to ask questions, though, I wanted to cover a couple of different programmes that are available for SMEs at the moment to work with the university. So Scottish Enterprise have provided a couple of programmes recently called Advancing Manufacturing Challenge Fund and the Low Carbon Challenge Fund, where SMEs can access capabilities within a range of different projects to enable them to move their own capabilities forward. So within the Advancing Manufacturing Challenge Fund, there are 12 different projects. And again, I will provide a link so you can find out more about all of the different projects. But just talking about some of the ones that Strathclyde in particular are involved with, we have one called AMBAT, which is additive manufacturing capability, and that's provided by NMIS. It enables companies to find out more about additive manufacturing and help them to develop that technology with the support of NMIS. We've also got a couple of programmes that we're running with South Ayrshire Council, which are focused in the aerospace sector in and around the Ayrshire area. The first one's looking at helping small and medium-sized enterprises get into the aerospace supply chain, particularly where they haven't been involved in the supply chain before. We're working with aerospace companies to identify opportunities for SMEs to engage in the supply chain, and then we're helping the companies that could access that engagement develop what they need to do. So if they need to get up to AS 100, for instance, we can help them through that process, help them understand what they need to put in place and how they can tap into other support that Scottish Enterprise have, such as the programme that they've got for SC21, Supply Chain 21 for the aerospace sector, and the Manufacturing Advisory Service as well, Scottish Manufacturing Advisory Service, SMAS. For the Low Carbon Challenge Fund, we've got a programme that we're doing there where we're looking at how we can support the renewables, the rail and the aerospace sectors in creating more circular components, and how we can remanufacture and repurpose technologies coming from those sectors and putting them back into those sectors with full certification as well. And then finally, innovation vouchers are open to all SMEs across any sector who want to work with any Scottish university, and they provide you with access to funding that will then let you work with universities. If you've got a programme that you're looking at in a particular topic that you want to do some additional research into, and you know that the university has facilities that would help you do that research, there's funding available there that will enable you to tap into that. Okay, so that's all the slides that I've got today. I've just got a final slide there which has all my contact details on it. And if you've got anything, any ideas, anything where you think we might be able to support you, please just get in touch, and I'm happy to talk through what we might be able to do to support you. But in the meanwhile, if anybody's got any questions, I'm quite happy to answer those just now as well.
Okay, folks, just over to yourselves. Anyone got any questions? Certainly weren't any in the chat. In the absence of any questions, I do have one. Oh, when you go.
Hi, Sheena. It's Jamie here. How you doing?
Hi, Jamie. Good to see you.
Hi. Listen, just a quick question. There's a couple of things that we are working on just now. Clearly, there's a lot of electrification going on in the industry just now. Move to sport zero emissions technologies. We certainly are looking at fuel cell EVs. We're on route to deliver our first one Q1 next year in terms of the productionized version of our Decker, and we're also looking at the closer to home as well, the prospect of a double deck electric vehicle platform. So to support those, one of the key enablers for an efficient vehicle is lightweight technologies, and I'm very keen to get back in touch with you guys. We did engage previously on that subject.
Yep.
I think one of the other elements that has raised its head during lightweighting is the challenge of making sure we have structural stiffness, and specifically with passenger service vehicles, NVH considerations. And I just wondered, is there any kind of capacity within Strathclyde that could support us on solutionizing issues with NVH? Do you have any? Sorry,
can you just expand the acronym for me, Jamie? Sorry, I work across so many.
Noise, vibration, and harshness. So things like
right,
we have excitation of a structure through engine or load inputs from the road. It's a common dilemma we have where we take weight out of a vehicle, which takes to a degree strength out of a vehicle, which makes it more flexible, and then prone to NVH issues. Yeah, with an alloy bodied vehicle, that can be quite a challenge, and one which we're trying to very much mitigate against. So it would be really useful to know if you had some sort of facilities within the group of specialisms that you have that could help us with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what I would do there is introduce you to our Advanced Materials Research Laboratory, who have some test facilities in there for NVH. I'm not sure whether they'll be specific enough for what it is you're after, but if not, we've got a network of other organisations that we can certainly point you in the direction of if we can't do it ourselves, Jamie. So again, just come and have a conversation. I'll take down details of exactly what it is you're after, what sort of materials you're working with, things like that. And Tizzy and Fiona Sillers, I'm sure in our AMRL would be able to help in the first instance. And if they're not able to do everything that you're needing, then we've got access. Like I said, we've got a network of other labs and facilities that we can help you access as well.
Okay, Sheena, that'd be really useful. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I'll get in touch with you about talking to LMC again, the Lightweight Manufacturing Centre, perhaps, if you're talking about the lightweight side of things. Yep.
That was really useful. Was it an eye opener? I think we're now at the stage where we were kind of talking previously about what the art of the possible might be and what the capabilities were. But there's definitely scope to apply some of that, I think, in the design of the vehicles for the next generation. So keen to engage on that subject. Yeah.
That's excellent. And I know that Ian Bonfrey has certainly moved forward with the technologies that he's now got within the Lightweight Manufacturing Centre. Yeah. So he's now got a reconfigurable pilot line in there that can do small components as well. So that might be something that'd be worth looking at for testing, for instance. If you can create a panel or something that's representative of what you're putting on the bus, we can then give it to the Advanced Materials Research Lab to do some testing on the sort of noise and vibration side of things, for instance.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Excellent.
Sheena, hi, it's John Campbell here. Hi.
Hi, John.
Hi. Sheena, can I just ask that was a really it's a really good insight into all the different areas the university can help. Are you sort of positioned as the main point of contact that can then bring companies to any of those, or are there other contact points?
There's a number of different contact points. I'm happy to act as a main point of contact. So anybody that's in Scottish engineering that wants to find out who they should be talking to, I can act as an initial point of contact and then put you into contact with the right centres, for instance. So as I said earlier, I think each of the centres themselves have their own business development capability or SME support networks. So for the National Manufacturing Institute Scotland, for instance, they've just recently taken on a number of SME support people who can provide very tailored support for SMEs who might have more specific needs than some of the bigger companies, for instance. So they can find different sources of funding that are only available to SMEs, for instance, that side of things.
Yeah. Okay. I liked your first answer. We'll come to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to be the first point of contact for sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think Paul, my boss, has.
Morning again, Sheena. Just a couple of things. I really like the slide on programs specific to SMEs. A couple of things, and for those listening, so we have been talking to your colleague Grant Payne.
Yep.
Joint event for AMBATS. We think AMBATS has got particular relevance to our membership, so we're working away on that. On the low carbon manufacturing challenge fund, that's an interesting one because I think we have been doing some net zero skill support, and we're all for examples, actual examples that we can show to companies of, look, here's an example. So maybe this one's more of a request, is if you do have any of those programs coming through and the company you're working with would be willing to be used as a kind of case study, it's really useful for us to have examples of this is what a successful application and program through low carbon manufacturing challenge fund would look like. So
that's excellent. Yeah, I'm sure we can do that, Paul. Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. Thanks.
Any further questions from our audience today? If not, I'll bring things to a close. And again, Sheena, thank you very much for a very interesting presentation today. I'll send out the link and the slides over the next day or so. But again, Sheena, thank you very much. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thanks, folks. Thanks.
Thank you, Sheena.
Cheers. Thank you.
Bye.